How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about The Devil's Cut, an anthology comic from DSTLRY. Now, DSTLRY is a new comics line, and I think their pitch is something like, not only do the creatives own their own comics, but the creatives also own the company or something like that. And basically this is a introduction sort of sampler thing where they have a bunch of their creators showing off what kind of stories they might do. Now, I do wish this had a little bit more of an explanation. They do have a paragraph in the front of the book talking about who their company is, and I did like that there was some explanation, but what are they going to do? Are the stories in here samples for future stories? Is the book going, is it going to be like a heavy metal style magazine like this and it keeps coming out with new issues? Or are they going to make regular comics completely unrelated to this? I don't really know what they're going to do in the future. Probably a bunch of different things. But as it stands now, first things first, an anthology magazine. And overall with this anthology magazine, I thought it was pretty good. Not the best thing ever, but there are some interesting ideas in here. And the thing is, though, the stories are, I would say, between 5 and 10 pages, something along those lines, and it's enough to get some good ideas out, but a lot of them do have short story problems where it feels like you introduce something big and weird and strange, and then all of a sudden we're over, and I'm like, that was cool, are we done here already? And some of the story ideas are a little bizarre and a little out there, and there are a lot of them where it's like, okay, I guess I get what you're going for, that's alright, and a lot of them, some of them that I'm like, that was definitely over too quick. And there are some just downright weird ones that you don't quite get where they're going or what they're trying to do. It is experimental stuff that often does land, but it's, not like hard-hitting classics all the time. There's definitely a few that do stand out and a few that aren't that great, but it's an interesting experiment, and I would like if they kept up the anthology magazine format. I mean, especially I heard that heavy metal was closing up shop, so we could use an experimental, artsy, especially horror and sci-fi centric magazine, so that would be fun. Anyway, I guess I'll talk a little bit about each of the stories, and to do that, I'll switch to the close-up camera. I'll show you a little bit of the story, a little bit of the art. I won't cover any of the endings, and I won't do any of the twist, but without further ado, let's go ahead and switch to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle taking a closer look at DSTLRY The Devil's Cut. Now this cover I have is the A cover, and it's a big D in space with a spaceship going across. Now the side continues the image, you can see the little line there, little D and The Devil's Cut, and then on the back it continues once more. This is cover A by Jock. All the other covers are other versions of the D. Anyway, flip it to the back. It talks about how there's 11 stories, it lists the creatives, and it talks about where it got the name The Devil's Cut. You see, they're DSTLRY, so of course you're going to pull a whiskey term, and it talks about in the aging process, the alcohol that evaporates is known as the angel share, but the super potent stuff that gets stuck in the barrel is known as the devil's cut, and apparently it's really intense. I don't know how you would get it out of the wood, though. Anyway, we get this barcode there, cover A, 111, mature, and $9.99 US. Yeah, $9.99 is a bit, but it's full color, magazine size, and relatively thick. Anyway, flipping it open, we get the logo there, and then we get a little blurb as to what they're about, the company being creator-owned and all that. And then here's the credits. Little hard to see with blue on blue, but if you want to see any specific names, you can pause and read them here. But you'll notice things like James Tynion IV doing Spectrograph, Jock doing The Stowaway, Scott Snyder and Francesco Francavilla doing White Boat. There's quite a few famous names of both writers and artists in here. And then after that, we get into the stories proper. Now, I'm not going to do any major spoilers, but I will show you a little bit of the stories, a little bit of the art, not covering any of the twists, but let's go ahead and analyze. We open up with the fourth one, Spectrograph, taking place in 1981, which actually I don't think has any bearing on the plot whatsoever. But this thief is sitting down with someone who's hiring him and saying, hey, do you believe in ghosts? No? Well, that will probably make your job easier. We're going to send you in to steal something that really shouldn't exist, made by this really, really rich guy. And when they reveal what it is a very strange, interesting idea, but it definitely is one of those that, you know, it plays its hand and you're like, huh, well, that was weird. And then it just ends, you know, so that is one of those things. It's good. It has some really good imagery towards the end. But yeah, it is kind of the case of weird short story. Let's move on, you know. Anyway, after that, we get this story called Shepherd. And we get this guy, he's a scientist, and his wife is dying in the hospital. She only has a few hours left. He has to give a big speech, but he wants to forget about it, and she says, no, this is too important. You need to do it. And he starts to talk about how humanity is doing deep space travel, but they're having problems with pirates, and he has a solution. And it's a cool little story with an interesting concept and a twist that you can basically see coming the moment it's introduced. But yeah, it's a fun sci-fi story, you know, an interesting little idea. It's like, hey, if we were doing deep space travel, piracy, it could be a real problem. So I do like, you know, thinking and doing a different aspect of it, you know. After that, we have, not sure, I should flip to the front because it looks like they're flipping to the front. This one's called 8 Rules to Make It Out in One Piece. I had to flip to the front because it had that faux title up there at the top. But anyway, there's this party on someone's island. They notice this one girl's not supposed to be there, and when they try to take her away, she's going to reveal that she's this secret agent and has to fight them all off and get away. And throughout the piece, she'll do these little rules that are basically like, hey, when you're in trouble, try to do this. And they not only apply to spy stuff, but to all aspects of life. And it's okay. I mean, there's this fun, almost Batman the Animated Series style artwork there. It's action heavy. It's just, you know, the tie-in sort of framing mechanism thing. I mean, it's okay, but it's not super revolutionary. It's a fun enough piece, you know, just a little run around, do some backflips action with a framing mechanism. It's okay. After that, we get What's Mine is Hers, inspired by a true story. And I have to say, this probably has my favorite artwork in the book. Really grim and sketchy, balancing those dark darks, including with the visuals with brighter highlights. But we get this mortician who says, I saw something in his eyes. He looked at me the way no one else really had before. And she starts to fall in love with this guy's corpse. And there's a sort of interesting dichotomy between the dialogue. What's being said is like sounding like it's a normal relationship. Meanwhile, what it's showing on screen is actually a whole bunch of crimes and stuff. So, a fun story. A lot of people aren't probably not going to get past the necrophilia, but it's an interesting, different story. This next one, we get this guy waking up and talking about all the efforts he does to stay looking human. And of course, we get a Patrick Bateman poster on the wall, in case you didn't get that. But anyway, he turns out is both a priest and a Hollywood agent. Okay, and there's Selena, I guess a parody of Selena Gomez, but with a C instead. And they start to talk about how celebrities are modern worship and stuff. It's a whole lot of ideas. Like, for real, this feels like a compressed version of a whole volume of a manga or something. It really feels like they're trying to set up a bigger series with this one, and it's just a whole bunch. Like, he's building he has a fake body and tries to look human, and celebrity worship, and I mean, it's got some okay ideas. That whole celebrity worship as a new religion, I mean, I've seen it a few places before. It is interesting, but yeah, that one just feels way too compressed. After that, a nice, good, simple one, this one called Stowaway, and this is the one by Jock, and it talks about how there's this young kid, and she has to sneak aboard this boat, and it turns out, well, it's not actually a boat, because when we do a wide, it's actually an interplanetary cruiser. So she has to get in, get some food, and get off before this thing takes off. And I really do like these dark brown colors, really good gritty art, and a nice, good, simple story. A little bit of action, a little bit of concept. It gets in and out and does its concept really well. I thought it was fun. After that, we get a cowboy story. I do like this kind of interesting watercolor artwork, but one of them's talking about writing a song, and they're talking about love, and as the camera pans around, we see that these are raiders, and that they've killed all the men that were here before, but ultimately, I don't quite get what was the point of all this, and then the name of it is Deleted Scene Number 2, so yeah, I don't really know how much of a point it's supposed to have. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. This next one I really do like. This is the Scott Snyder one. You get this guy, he's walking around, and he talks about how he's been walking around in this hallway for, like, forever, and someone's been tormenting him. And then we flash back in time, and it talks about how he's a writer for a boat magazine, and he gets an invitation to stay on the White Ship, this really large private yacht that's basically the size of a cruise ship. But when he gets on, he's found his apartment recreated in there, and the guy who's supposed to be the captain just takes off his coat and leaves, and he gets stranded alone on this big boat, wandering around for weeks. This is a really good story. I really do love it. I love the concept. The only thing is it's over in, like, 5 or so pages. I'm like, I could really have done with more of this one. I thought this one was one of the best. Yeah, haunted boat, surreal, almost Silent Hill, try to escape stuff. It's pretty cool. After that, we get The Endless City, and we get these people living on this big ring out in space, and it talks about how they're in the future and they've solved all the problems, but in turn, life is kind of boring now. Problem finally does arise where these little holes open up in space and just kind of obliterate whatever's there, but it's not really even a problem if you die, because they'll just print you off a new body and a new scan of your mind, and you're back to, nothing. So the only problem is if you get too many holes coming up too fast. Now, she says that she's found the solution for this, but talks to her lover there, who has experienced everything as well, and says, hey, granted this special piece of information, what if we do something strange and different? And it really does feel like a weird story you would have read in heavy metal. An interesting, different idea, but it's kind of just out there and hard to latch on to, It's not super relatable, and it's just sort of a weird and out there story that, I mean, it does what it's supposed to do. It is different and does have this interesting concept, but it is super hard to just get into it and enjoy it, you know, because, yeah, having no problems, that's a totally relatable thing. Anyway, after this, we get Waiting to Die, and it talks about how there's this couple, fiancés, and there's a big solar flare coming, and anyone who's left outside is going to get their brain rotted and kind of, you know, lose all their memories and maybe not even able to retain new ones. So some people are legitimately just going out there to essentially end their own existence. But you get this couple and they're going to stay inside, but what do they have other than watching stuff on TV and accepting that their relationship is kind of dry and stale? It's a good enough story. There's some good moments. That whole, yeah, let's just go ahead and die thing. Again, I kind of wonder where some of these writers' headspaces are at, but yeah, no, it's a good enough concept, fun enough story. Not the best thing ever, but okay. Have I said that a lot lately? After that, we get the story, What Blighted Flames Burn in Thee. In this story, you get a girl and you see her mother has locked her out of the house because everyone else in the family has gotten sick with the plague, and a witch hunter comes to collect her. And yeah, this is another witch hunt story. Personally, it's one of my least favorite genres in fiction because they're all almost exactly the same. Just read The Crucible and call it a day. You don't need any more than that. But there is a little bit of a new element where it's like, you knowing that it's not actually evil witches' powers, but actually a plague that is being spread by these people. And there is a bit of an interesting twist in here where this guy comes to visit her and says, I have a plan to sneak you out in a cart full of dead bodies, which is a very gruesome way to sneak out, and there is a fun twist ending at the end of this. So, yeah, the witch hunter stuff, not really a big fan of that, but I do like the classic old school horror twist ending that it does have at the end, and the plague was a different enough way to go about it. So overall, it was okay, and yeah, a lot of these are okay. It's cases of, yeah, I get the concept, but it's okay, you know? But there are some, you know, like the Scott Snyder story and the Jock story that were, you know, pretty good. And there were definitely some highlights, but there is definitely also a bunch of, yeah, I get that. Cool. Okay, that was weird. Let's move on. So, you know, a mixed bag, some hit or miss, but, you know, it's probably worth checking out. It's $10, but it's pretty thick, and I did read through it all relatively quickly, so I guess I can recommend this. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom if you want to see me talk about more stuff that are kind of like this. You can click right there and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.